The seat was not comfortable. It had never been comfortable. 9 years of that chair, 9 years of the Solvari Accord Continuance Commission's weekly plenary sessions, their quarterly compliance reviews, their semi-annual re-ratification ceremonies, with the hand-pressed ceremonial documents, and the scent of something like incense that the Solvari exhaled when they were performing solemnity. And the chair had never once adjusted to a human spine. I had stopped noticing somewhere around year 4. I noticed it again that morning. I think it was because there was no one on either side of me. Ambassador Tereth had been recalled 11 days prior, along with the 3 senior attachés, following the Commission's finding that the Earth mission had filed its quarterly compliance report using a non-standard cross-reference index, a clerical irregularity, they called it, a formal deficiency, grounds for the recall of credentialed personnel pending review. The recall was not about the index. Everyone in the chamber knew it was not about the index. The Commission's new chair, presiding voice Sorath Veln, had been trying to reduce Earth's floor presence for 2 years, and the index had given him the instrument he needed. They left me. They left me because I was the mission's least credentialed representative, civilian attaché, no formal diplomatic rank, no floor vote standing, present in the chamber only by virtue of a 9-year continuous appointment that predated the current Commission charter, and therefore sat outside the recall instrument's scope. Tereth had looked at me the morning of his departure with something that might have been apology and might have been pity, and he had said, "Go, sit, say nothing, and we will sort this out from the Earth side." I had gone. I had sat. I was still sitting. The chamber was a long oval of brushed pale stone, with gallery tiers rising on 3 sides, and the Commission's table, 22 seats, 22 member systems, 22 faces, in various shades of gray, and blue and amber, all of them angled toward me, with the particular quality of attention that powerful bodies bring to bear when they want you to understand that you are small, filling the far end. The dome above was glass, and the day outside was white and cold, the kind of light that flattens everything it touches. Presiding voice. Sorath Veln had the floor. He had been speaking for some time. The reclassification motion had been introduced 14 minutes earlier, and he was reading its provisions in full, which was not procedurally required, but which was clearly deliberate. The full reading took longer. It meant I sat there longer. It meant the gallery could watch me sit there longer. I had heard the word reclassification and understood what was coming. Non-participating residual entity. I had seen the category in the Accord's administrative annex once, years ago, while cross-indexing archived member status filings. It was the category for signatories that had ceased to exist. Failed states, dissolved bodies, things that had once been present and were now only paperwork. They were going to make us paperwork. I listened to the full reading. I had a notepad in front of me that I had stopped writing on. At some point, I had set my stylus down parallel to the pad's edge, which I did not remember doing, and I looked at it for a moment, the small precise fact of it, the right angle it made with the corner of the notepad, and I thought about nothing in particular. In the gallery above, I was aware of movement. Journalists, observers from the member systems, a pair of Solvari administrative aides whose function I had never quite established. They had come for the vote. They had come for the moment after it. The chamber, which held perhaps 400 on a full ceremonial session, had drawn perhaps 60 for this one, which was still 58 more than usually attended a reclassification proceeding. That told me something about what this vote was meant to be. The vote was called. 22 voices, in sequence, by member system. The gallery was quiet. I counted 17 before I stopped counting. The motion carried unanimously, 22-0. Presiding voice. Sorath Veln looked at me across the length of the chamber. "The Earth mission," he said, with the cadence of a man completing something long overdue, "is hereby reclassified as a non-participating residual entity under Annex 7, Section 3 of the Solvari Accord Continuance Charter. Floor access is suspended. Signatory protections are rescinded. All pending compliance proceedings are administratively closed. The mission's representatives are no longer recognized participants in this body." He paused. I think he was waiting for something. A question, maybe. A protest. 9 years of sitting in that chair, and I think Sorath Veln had expected that the person who had done it longest would have something to say when they took it away. I picked up the stylus. I placed it in my case. I closed the case. I stood, and I walked to the door, and I left. There was no drama in it. My footsteps on the stone floor were the loudest thing in the room, and then the door closed behind me, and they were not. The transit corridor applications were 48 hours in processing. I did not know that at the time. I was on a transport back to the Earth relay station, sitting in a pressurized cabin, with a cup of something warm that I was not drinking, watching the Solvari system fall behind through the porthole. I was thinking, with the particular clarity that arrives after exhaustion, that I had spent 9 years holding a seat in a chamber where nothing I said had ever changed anything, that the chair had never fit, that the incense smell the Solvari exhaled during ceremonies had never not made me slightly ill, that I did not know what I was going back to. The message from Mission Legal reached me 6 hours out from the relay station. I read it twice. The Solvari Accord, as its administrative annex specified in clear language across 4 subsections, held jurisdiction only over its recognized signatories and participating entities. Non-participating residual entities, by the annex's own definition, were outside the Accord's administrative jurisdiction entirely. They were not subject to its regulations, its compliance requirements, its trade restrictions, or its transit controls, including the transit controls on corridors 7, 14, and 22. Earth had been applying for corridor access for 11 years. The applications had been held in procedural review under the Accord's signatory obligation clause. Earth, as a signatory, could not open new transit infrastructure without the Commission's approval, and the Commission had declined to grant it, session after session, year after year, citing compliance irregularities, pending reviews, administrative sequencing. The corridors sat unused. Earth's shipping routes ran the long way around, at a cost measured in years and fuel and cargo lost to the extended transit times. The Commission had been using our signatory standing as the instrument that kept us out. They had just taken our signatory standing away. The corridor applications had been in the Commission's queue for 11 years. The moment Earth ceased to be a signatory, the moment the reclassification took effect, the Accord's jurisdiction over those applications evaporated. They passed automatically to the Interstellar Transit Registry, the older and larger body whose authority predated the Solvari Accord by 60 years, and whose charter contained no provision for blocking corridor access on the basis of diplomatic standing. The registry approved all 3 within 48 hours, standard review, no complications. I sat with that for a long time. 9 years in that chair. 9 years of compliance filings and quarterly reviews and re-ratification ceremonies, and the smell of Solvari solemnity. 9 years of watching the Commission decline everything Earth asked for, using our own membership as the lever. They had held us in the Accord the way you hold a guest in a room by locking the door, and they had been so certain, when they finally decided to throw us out, that the throwing out was the punishment. They had not read their own annex, or they had read it and had not thought past the satisfaction of the vote. 22 voices in sequence, the gallery watching, presiding voice, Soreth Velm, with his cadence of a man completing something long overdue. I thought about the chair. I thought about the 9 years I had spent in it, and the 9 years of nothing changing, and the 11 years of corridor applications sitting in review, and the 48 hours it had taken the transit registry to approve what the Commission had spent a decade denying. I thought about the door closing behind me. I finished the cup of something warm. It had gone cold. I drank it anyway. The relay station came into view through the porthole, the familiar geometry of it, the docking pylons, the soft running lights against the dark. I gathered my case. I checked that the stylus was where I had put it. 22 votes, unanimous, and in the end, all they had done was unlock the door from the inside and tell us we had to leave. We left. The corridors opened 3 days after I got home,